Thank you.
Yep.
And the next thing on our agenda, approve of the minutes from October 5th. So you have a copy of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Any questions before a motion? Okay, I think Bethany, you have a motion, right?
Yes, motion to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
no correction, no comments?
There was I've already talked to Josh, but there was I was not included in the list of attendees, but I think Josh will fix it.
Thank you. Any other comments or correction? All right, so we're going to vote it. All in favor. Matt, are you going to do electrical poll or just how are you going to vote?
We'll do, since it's a small group, I don't do the polls for
Okay,
this.
so all in favor say aye or raise the hands.
Yeah. Let's see here. 8. There's my thing. Okay, I've got 9 raised hands to approve. Okay, I'll put your hands down if you are done voting. And
So
if
9 vote and any nay? So 1 nay. Jennifer, are you nay?
I don't see any hand raises for nay.
Okay, no nay, okay.
I'm not a nay. I just wanted to mention, not everybody has their video up, so it'd be better to count the hands raised from the participant list. There are 8 people.
We have some guests today, though. They're not everybody here is a member.
Okay.
Of the committee. But you're right.
There are a lot of guests, yeah.
Yeah.
So abstain. Okay. All right, minutes approved. Okay, the next one on the agenda, report. Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, we sent off the October's issue of faculty update or for your information. In addition, I have several reports to you. First, we hosted 3 meetings to interview 3 chief information officer candidates in October by working with several other constituencies. I wish to thank Dr. Bethany Rader for covering the interview for the 3rd candidate while I was busy. Second, on October 14th, I had a meeting with Chancellor Nairn, and we followed up with several faculty-related issues, including faculty hires, faculty support, or bus person, and student enrollment, and strategic plan, and the ad hoc committee for the institutional ranking or assessment. Third, on October 22nd, I attended a meeting held by the Council of Illinois Faculty Senate. At the meeting, we discussed a variety of issues such as shared governance, faculty senate independence and integrity, COVID-19 safety, and a few other issues at different institutions. Finally, for information, there will be 4 visits to different colleges and academic units this week with the chancellor and the provost, include the School of Law, School of Education, College of Liberal Arts, and College of Agriculture, Life or Biological Science, whatever, yeah. And also a note The next week, November 10th, November 10th, Wednesday, there will be a workshop for recruitment, and I sent the email to you guys. I know Elaine and I will attend. If any of you can allocate a couple of hours, a few hours, let us know. It's completely voluntary, but I appreciate your time and efforts and service in advance. So any questions and comments for me? Okay, so if there's no question, we're going to move on to the report. Okay, executive committee report, that means I did my part, pretty much similar to what I said a few seconds ago. So I do not want to waste your time. So let us move to the report B, election committee, and Chair Bethany Rada. Bethany, are you there?
I am. So we had, the elections committee had a meeting. Our agenda was to get the process started, figure out what we needed to do. Since that meeting, we've been working on creating, as accurate as we can, lists of full professors, which are those eligible for nomination for the JRB. We sent a list of, as annotated as we could get from the university and from each college on campus. We put together a as good as it can be list of full professors that has gone out to the committee who should approve it. Once that approval occurs, then we will send out our nomination email. We will accrue nominations. And then in the December EC meeting, we will approve those candidates, those nominations that have been vetted, and then we will vote in the December Faculty Senate meeting. So that's the process. And we're at the point where we're about to call for nominations. So that is what we have been doing. Let me know if you have any questions. Great, thank you.
So no question. Okay, thank you, Bethany. Next one, Undergraduate Education Policy Committee, and we have co-chairs, Professor George Remick and Professor Amy Pro.
Okay, thank you. So I want to just update the committee on something that's been old business since September. If back in September, you might remember we passed 6 resolutions for recommendation to the full Faculty Senate to have RMEs. 5 of those sailed through unimpeded the following week. The 6th, I then at the last minute, using my discretion as a co-chair and based on emergency information I received from Lizette Chevalier, and this was also in conjunction with Amy, the full support of Amy, the 2 of us used our authority to pull it from this consideration on the floor. And this was an RME to rename the School of Journalism, the School of Journalism and Advertising. We pulled it from the floor because we had heard that there were last minute objections from the College of Business and Analytics, particularly the program of, if I get the title wrong here, please forgive me, but I believe it's the program of marketing and management, or is it management and marketing? I forget what order they go in. You don't know either. Okay. In any event, so we pulled it for consideration to allow faculty from all constituencies involved to have as much time as they possibly needed to negotiate something, to talk it out. I then learned from Lizette Chevalier, who was using her good offices of her unit, Associate Provost office, to facilitate these meetings, that they had 3 meetings between then and now. And about a week and a half early last week, we got these 2 reports. And then Lizette informed us that there was no possibility of resolution of this, after consulting with Amy about it, again, we felt that the correct procedural thing to do here is to resume where we were. We were on the floor of the Faculty Senate. The Faculty Senate is the widest constituency possible to hear these arguments. If we took it to a committee, it would be a small subset of those arguments. It wouldn't be a full constituency, whereas the Faculty Senate is the only full constituency. It represents all of us from the entire university. And that is where I think I prefer to go next week with this. I think I prefer just to have the open debate and discussion and the full floor of the Faculty Senate. Invite all people that want to talk. We've dealt with other issues in the past which have been controversial, like this one. RMEs last year, for example, reorganization that were bitterly disputed by faculty involved. And we invited, for example, last spring when we did the School of Social Sciences RME, we invited the chairs of anthropology, sociology, and political science to come and speak their minds. And I think that was what the Faculty Senate is best able to do in these instances, is to allow all faculty to come and speak their point of view, and then the Faculty Senate have to then make a decision. So that's, I think, where I would recommend we go at this point, is just to basically put the resolution forward without really any recommendation on our part, to say it's up to the Faculty Senate to adjudicate this. These points of view, I would say, are almost talking past one another. They're very different points of view of the two perspectives. So I don't feel like I want to weigh in at this point. And so that's what I recommend to get the rest of you.
Well, I know I raised my hand as the Faculty Senate and also now as the president of the Faculty Senate. My question pretty much for both Joe and Amy, as well as for Marcus. Well, when you guys originally proposed to the Faculty Senate Executive Council, Marcus, have you contacted you department or school of management, marketing, or, I mean, you are representing, especially Marcus, representing College of Business and Analytics. Well, I mean, I'm just curious about the process, fairness.
The process on what specifically?
Well, when we were discussing this proposal, School of Journalism and Advertisement, did you share the information with your College of Business and Analytics faculty member at that time?
The School of Marketing and Management have been involved in the discussion all along, and it has been something that has been discussed college-wide, but it specifically affects the School of Management and Marketing. So those are the faculty that are the ones that are involved in this and have been the ones that have been making the discussions and been involved in across campus.
Thank you.
And just so that you can, just something else I want to update the executive committee on. In the last 2 months since this started happening, Amy and I, along with Lizette, met with the program coordinator of the School of Marketing and Management. We've met with Jan Thompson. We've met with pretty much, we have done our best effort to try to be above the fray here and a neutral as possible on this, because again, neither of us are partisans in this issue. Neither of us are from the schools affected. And, you know, the role of the Faculty Senate is to hear all arguments and to have all information presented to it.
And I know there's been very, as he said, in-depth and detailed discussions across and within both units.
Yep.
And so I know it's I don't think there's going to be an easy resolution because they're opposed and there's nothing to change it.
That's right.
Thank you. I know, Jay, you had a question or your hand was off. Or?
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Amy and Joe, for the update on that. It's just one comment, really, and it's more about how we might use a forum like the EC here, so that when we do have like a contested issue or something like this, maybe we can bring the full force of not only the Senate next week, but how can the committee structures understand or help out here? And so as this, was this or is this partly a governance issue? Could the governance committee help there? Those kinds of things. So, you know, even though it might be doubling down, I think, you know, when there's a really, really important issue here where people are very passionate, maybe it is incumbent on us to host those faculty here as a representatives in the EC so that folks just get a better story, a bit more background and context. And then we can go in knowing a little bit more, to the full Senate next week. So it's really just more of a flow when we have stuff come, through like this, how do we best take care of these issues? So I guess I would have liked to see, maybe some folks from journalism or business here, just a single representative of each program, just to do a little storytelling and to just fully update us. Because I did read the documents that were provided, but they're kind of shorthand in many ways. So there's more story here. I just wish we knew a little bit more of the background.
Yeah, I asked Lizette to fill us in on because she knows the most of all what's going on, because it's coming.
Thank you.
These things are shepherded out of the associate provost office. I don't know if she had a time conflict, but we did invite her.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Next one, Jenny.
Thank you. I just had a question and a comment. My question is, don't we have a communications department that also addresses advertising?
We have a communication studies.
Related courses.
Yes. And so again, I feel like we all have to always bracket ourselves out when we're faculty senate executive officer. So I guess on my personal opinion as a historian, if I'm putting on my personal hat as a historian, would I complain when 5 other disciplines around me teach some version of history in their curriculum? And would I say that only historians own historical curriculum? So I find that argument a little unpersuasive.
No, it's not an argument. I just didn't know. I was just asking.
No. I'm just saying that argument is one of the arguments raised by the School of Marketing and Management. And so when I look
so it's a yes?
There's communication studies has advertising in their curriculum.
Okay.
Journalism has advertising in their curriculum, and marketing obviously has advertising in their curriculum and marketing. And I think these are synonyms of the similar things, but it seems to me my limited understanding again of the curriculum is that there's perhaps more creative things being done in School of Journalism, or things being done with, and then more analytical things perhaps being done in the School of Marketing and Management. But I don't know entirely. And I think there's probably some blending. There's probably some, and so are you going to have pristine curriculum across in our units? I doubt it. I really do doubt that you can reach pristineness when it comes to curriculum.
So my comment is that I have a feeling, even if we have governance take a look at this or any other committee, that there'll be a difference of opinion. But I also think that the benefit of the Faculty Senate as a large body is that people are heard. And I hope that we welcome and leave time for people to explain their position. And I predict that the Faculty Senate will have a healthy split vote, and that each department will not claim that the Faculty Senate spoke in unity, and they will mention how that was split. And we should just anticipate that and accept it. It doesn't mean it's a problem, because at the end of the day, the Faculty Senate's an advisory body. We don't have the power to decide. And, the powers that be will make the decision. So we shouldn't spin our wheels too much about this, but it sounds to me like there's been some really good discussion already.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any comments for Joe and Amy?
I just wanted to add one thing. We did recently, it looks like, receive some student input as well, which we can share for the Faculty Senate meeting as well. So.
Okay. Thank you. Now, next one if no more question for Joe and Amy, we're going to.
Amy and Joe, is the student input from all units, or was it just from one?
It looks like I read through them last night. It was the graduates, I think, for the School of Journalism. So it was ones that have graduated with advertising and how it benefited.
Is there a way we could reach out to marketing and management students?
I would have hoped that the ones that were involved in the initial discussion would have done so. I suspect that will happen on the other side. Yeah,
that would perhaps be information that other of our colleagues on the Faculty Senate would like to consider. No, we can't, this is going to be something that is going to be, a split, but close vote. We need to just I think, agree with Jennifer and just accept that. Faculty Senate is the widest forum to have these discussions, appropriate forum to have these discussions.
Okay, thank you. We are going to move to the budget committee. Marcus and Jenny.
So we last met on October 7th as a committee, and we're due for another meeting. We had planned to invite the chancellor to our next meeting, and we have been in a little bit of a stall this semester, in part because we kept getting information about Gray and Associates, and then it sounds to me like that hasn't really moved forward as fast as we thought. And so we thought, well, so we're trying to now think about some backup plans in terms of, helping everybody with some transparency of information, which was the purpose of the town hall last time. But we also have, I believe, an interim executive director for finance as well. So there was some transition in positions there. So we were waiting on that, but it seems to me, I don't know, Marcus, if you agree, that our committee is really quite prepared to maybe say time's up and we just move forward with whoever's interim and the rest and start getting this information, because we thought it would be respectful to just sort of wait and let them do their thing, but it's taking longer than we thought.
Yeah, and I agree. And I have just this week taken over as the chair of the search for the vice chancellor for finance committee, because it was sort of in a stall pattern also too with what some things going on. So yeah, I think that's, Jennifer said it completely where we're at right now. We just need to grab something and go with it now.
Thank you. Any question, comments for this committee? Okay, so committee on committee, Elaine and Sung Hee.
Hi, everyone. This is our report for committee and committee. The committee and committees received another request for faculty senate representative to serve on chancellor's ad hoc committee on enrollment and academic excellence. Since last meeting, the faculty senate approved 6 university-wide faculty members on chancellor's ad hoc committee. Then we would like to recommend from executive committee the following to serve on chancellor's ad hoc committee: Professor Yi-Ting Lee and Professor Joseph Shamek and Professor Elaine Gursky. And Dr. Lee, do I need to make a motion since you are involved with this committee member? Or?
Yes, it's up to you.
Okay. Okay. Then I move to motion to approve.
Any second?
Second. Jennifer Sherry, second.
Okay, then vote. All favor?
So
Let's do a hand,
Could you, yeah.
do a hand raise, please. I have 7. I counted up to 7 hands, 8.
Any opposed? One
I
opposed?
have 1 opposed.
Any abstain? Mark, you just keep raising hand.
Me? Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Marcus. Okay, so 7 approved, this request approved. And then as you know, we were requested to nominate 2 faculty senate members to attend the recruitment and retention workshop requested by Provost November, which will be held on November 10th. And today, up to today morning, we received 3 faculty senate committee to volunteer to serve. So far, the Professor Amy Bro, Professor Yi-Ting Lee, and the Professor Elaine Gursky. that I want to let you know. Then Dr. Lee, I'm not sure if do we need to get approval, faculty, senate members approval here, or just we can report to the provost office.
Well, I think we may have more faculty senate members through their name to us. Maybe we just wait.
Today morning, today
yeah.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I will wait. Thank you. That's all I want to report.
Thank you. Okay. Any question, comments for committee on committee? Okay. Next one, faculty status and welfare committee. We have Scott and Jennifer Sherry.
Jennifer, you want me to go ahead and report, or do you want to do it?
Yes, if you wanted to start with the School of Music, and then I have some comments about the documents that were sent by Dr. Lee on the Faculty Senate documents that went through what certain universities use as far as if they allow admin on Faculty Senate.
Okay. Actually, I also wanted to address the issue that was brought up at last month's Faculty Senate meeting or actually via email also from Father Brown, and report back. The Faculty Status and Welfare Committee did meet. We had a discussion. I personally met with Father Brown to discuss some of the issues that he brought up and concerns that he brought up regarding, I guess, under sort of the general sort of heading of sort of the state of mental health on campus in a very general sense as it relates to students, faculty, and staff. Had a lengthy discussion with him regarding these issues and reported back to the FSW committee, and we had some email exchanges back and forth regarding this. And I don't know that the committee came to any conclusions regarding our ability to take action as a committee, or even necessarily for the EC or the Senate to act independently under our own authority, but to perhaps press the administration either through these meetings or separately to quote unquote do something, to recognize that there is a problem on campus. There are issues with severe, in some cases, mental health problems among students, among staff, among faculty. I think the words that were used is nothing is normal right now, and that pretty much everyone is overwhelmed, and that it would be nice if the administration would openly, publicly acknowledge that and realize that many of the offices on campus tasked with dealing with these issues are not capable of addressing them adequately right now under current staffing. And that we need the administration to take the initiative, and whether that is hiring additional staff, publicly addressing the problem as it exists on campus, and having public forums about it, listening sessions, I don't know what. We didn't come to any conclusion, but we did talk about it, and I wanted to report back to the EC and next week at the Senate about these issues, because it seems pretty clear to us on the committee that things aren't working as they should. And the administration can do more, or should be doing more. And that is, in essence, I suppose, where we are with things. I don't know if anyone has any questions or would like to provide us with some input as to where we might go with this. But like I said, nothing is normal. Everyone is overwhelmed, and things aren't working as they should. And I think there needs to be public acknowledgement of that. And there needs to be some collective response to address what is a collective problem. It's not a faculty problem. It's not a staff problem. It's not a student problem. It's an SIU problem. It's a society problem. And we want the university to do more. So I don't know if anyone wants to engage with that.
Thank you. Do you have, I know this is a complicated issue, and do you also have other, I mean, you have a guest here. Would you like to introduce the guest?
Yeah, we have Ed Benyus from the School of Music. That's a separate issue. It's also on our agenda to talk about, or I noticed, unfortunately, it's not on the agenda, but it is something for the report. So I just wanted to see if anyone had, there's any feedback on our.
Can I speak?
You know, oh, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, the USG resolution is going to address the issues that you're talking about. We've been working with Father Brown and several other faculty and grad students to discuss that. So we can talk about that later when we talk about the actual resolution, or we can talk about it now, whichever you prefer.
Later, just as new business. If you can hold it for a few more minutes. Thank you, Idea.
Okay, that's fine. As Yiting also mentioned, Professor Ed Benyus from the School of Music is here as a guest today. He had brought to the attention of Faculty Status and Welfare case involving a faculty member here at the university who is currently being prosecuted by the Justice Department. Has a number of concerns about how that's being handled by the Justice Department, and what is an unfortunate lack of response by the university to do much in regards to this situation. So I'd asked Professor Benyus to be here today, and so I'd like to give him some time to tell everyone about this issue and talk about what sort of action steps he'd like to see the Senate take. Ed?
Thank you very much, Scott. Can everybody hear me okay? Great. Thank you. I have a prepared statement. I want to be very clear. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today on a critical issue which threatens the career and liberty of one of our SIU colleagues and which endangers all of us as we strive to maintain SIU status as a national research institution. The Justice Department's China initiative was spearheaded by the Trump administration beginning in November 2018. It was purported to counter Chinese national security threats and reinforce the former president's overall national security strategy. At the outset of the initiative, former Attorney General Jeff Sessions remarked that it served to combat economic espionage and the, quote, grave national security threat posed by geopolitical rival states' efforts to try to steal American inventions and defraud America. However, it has become apparent that the mission of this initiative is actually to accumulate prosecutions against primarily Chinese-born persons in the United States. Not only did John Demers, former Assistant Attorney General of the National Security Division, encourage all 94 United States attorneys' offices to, quote, try to do 1 to 2 of these cases per year, unquote, suggesting that the effort is driven by quota and not actual threat to the United States. But the department has expanded its prosecutions to include charges wholly unrelated to issues of national security. Specifically, the Department of Justice has initiated a string of prosecutions against academics and researchers of Chinese descent for allegedly making false statements or failing to disclose connections to Chinese institutions rather than espionage, under the guise of protecting the U.S. from China's efforts to steal knowledge and intellectual property. The department has targeted professors like our beloved SIU colleague, Professor Ming-Hsin Zhao, a 30-year U.S. resident, as well as Professor Anming Hu at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and Professor Gang Chen at MIT, who have committed their professional lives to service, teaching, and scholarship at American universities and to expanding these institutions' capacities for growth and global impact. eerily reminiscent of the incarceration of Japanese Americans in the 40s and the MacArthur era witch hunts of the 50s that destroyed so many American lives and careers, the China Initiative fuels anti-Asian sentiments, hostility, and xenophobia. It flies in the face of the values of justice and equality that the department is called to enforce, and it threatens the livelihood of our institutions of higher education, the talented professionals we employ, the students we educate, and the communities we serve. It is especially important that we faculty at SIU, which markets itself as a nationally recognized research institution, stand up to the government's discriminatory and unjust targeting of our Chinese American colleagues. Accordingly, I respectfully urge the Faculty Senate to join our colleagues from the University of California at Berkeley, over 200 of them, Princeton University, 198, Temple University, nearly 200, the Asian Pacific American Justice Task Force, and nearly 300, over 300 others in endorsing Stanford University's open letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland to end the China Initiative. Additionally, I ask that we collaborate to develop a resolution, statement of support, and request to SIU for financial support of Dr. Zhao's legal defense. President Lee has a copy of this statement and of the proposed letter that I'm asking you to sign. This is the Stanford letter. It is available on the internet, and you can sign on to it individually through tomorrow, as a matter of fact. President Lee has the link to do that. He and I have both signed on to it. Thank you.
Okay, any questions or comments for Professor Edwards Binayas and also Committee Chair Scott Comparato and also Jenny Sherry?
Well, I just want to say thank you for preparing and sharing that statement, Ed. This is profound work that we need to engage in. And are you thinking of working towards a resolution through committee? Are you going to present something through various committees? Or
well,
have we discussed the mechanism at this point?
Thanks, Jay, for the support. I approached Yu-Ting about this, and he suggested I present it to the executive committee. It's in your hands now. I'm willing to make the same statement to the full Senate next Tuesday if you like. I'm not on the faculty Senate, so I'm really leaving it to you. He's got my statement and he has the letter. Down the line, I would like to address you again about a specific statement of support for Professor Zhao, whose attorney's fees have run several $100,000. Just imagine if we have to prove our innocence to the federal government, who has those resources. It's absolutely tragic.
Thank you. I know Li Chang has a hand.
Yeah, also I want to thank Ed for the initiative and then doing so much work towards, generating this resolution. And I would like to bring the discussion to the full Senate for discussion, especially we want to have like kind of understanding of how many senators support us as a senator, as a like an entity to talk to or recommend to administration to cover the legal fees to support Dr. Xiao's legal fight for this.
Any other question for Ed? Yes, Jenny.
I really appreciate you bringing this to our attention, but I confess I'm a little confused. And I think, as a law professor, I'm often asked to sign on because a lot of law professors raise these sorts of issues and ask for signatories, but I'm usually given a lot of supportive information. And so a statement alone is not quite enough for me. And I highly recommend that you do present the issue at the full faculty senate, but add to it the letter, add to it some of the detail and support for the arguments, because I just don't think the statement alone is going to be enough for the faculty senate. So I'm glad you presented it here first. So, perhaps something
Can
like
I respond to that, Jennifer?
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you. First of all, I'm not in your Senate, so I don't have the opportunity to present documents and make it part of your agenda. I did send to you, Ting, and Scott, and Jennifer a wealth of information, including articles from Science Magazine and publicly filed pleadings in the Zhao case, including the indictment, the motion to dismiss, the An Minghu federal district judge decision dismissing his case with prejudice. So Dr. Lee has all that information. I've sent him links and I've sent him supporting documents. So I'm leaving it up to you to figure out how to send this letter. You've got 200 colleagues of yours each at MIT or at Princeton, at Stanford, Cal Berkeley, Temple, and over 400 others who signed on to this letter. Yuting has the link on how to sign in individually, and I think that since one of our colleagues has been targeted by the China Initiative, that the SIU faculty needs to send its own letter. So I drafted a letter, and all I did in the letter is I quoted the Stanford letter. Yuting's got the Stanford letter, and he's got my statement, so everything's there. I'm going to leave it up to you. If I'd be happy to speak to the Senate on next Tuesday, but you guys are the senators, and I'll leave it in your hands.
I can forward you guys, all of you guys. Okay, that means faculty senate, executive council, the later information they sent to us. I can forward to you immediately after meeting. Would that be okay?
Thank you.
So,
Sounds like there's a deadline by tomorrow.
Thanks for explaining that. The tomorrow deadline is for individuals to sign on to the Stanford letter. The faculty senate can send its letter at any time, but there is a deadline if you want to just tag onto that Stanford letter. And there's about 400 people in 42 states and something 60 some universities that have already done that. And Yuting has the link to that.
Now, Ed, help us to understand the letter you draft. That means the SIU faculty senator. So do you want us to put it as part of agenda for the faculty senate to discuss next Tuesday? That's the letter you sent to us.
Look, I don't know what your procedures are. I started the ball rolling. If you, however you want to handle it, I'm sure that it's just a draft of a letter. I'm sure people are going to have things that they want to say, and I just gave you a first draft to go with.
Can I offer to have the faculty status and welfare committee take the documentation that Ed has provided to us?
Yes.
Meet, review this material, come up with either promote this letter that Ed has provided to us to send the Attorney General, or some other resolution asking for specific action from SIU administration or something along those lines, and come back to the EC next month with a specific recommendation with specific documentation to take to the full Senate for action.
So
is there any way we can, I think this is something that we may want to discuss at the full faculty senate as soon as possible. I mean, there was actually a article in the Chronicle of Higher Education a couple months ago that dealt with this, and it would be good if we could. I don't know that all the senators and any of the faculty on campus have any idea that this is actually going on. I know Ed's been working on this for quite a while, because during the transition between me and Yuting, I was talking to Ed about this and handed it off to Yuting at that time. This has been going on for quite a while with this professor here, And if we put it off another month, it's just going to be just kicking the can down the road even further. I would like for this to be in front of the full faculty senate as soon as possible.
But if you've been knowing about this since the middle of the academic years, why are you only bringing it to us now in November?
It
I would have thought that this should have been brought to us in September or August.
I don't disagree. It came up as I was transitioning to UTeam, and actually I met with Ed Vinyas one time. Ed and I talked about it, and I brought UTeam in, and UTeam took it over as it transitioned. I know that they have been talking about it. I haven't been involved in the discussion since the very beginning, and yeah, I agree. I think I thought we would have seen it probably this summer, but I actually, as I said, there was an article came out in August in the Chronicle, which again reunited in my mind because again I hadn't had anything to deal with it since back when in May, and so I was surprised we hadn't heard from it. So now we're several months in, so I don't want to push it further down if we can help to do so.
Yeah, without
I could speak to the timeline issue. The Stanford letter is only dated September
Dr.
8th.
Vinyas, I understand that. I understand that, Dr. Vinyas, but without prejudicing the case, because I'm not doing that. My point is simply a procedural one, which is it is unfair of faculty senators, it's unfair of faculty colleagues to ask them to sign something without all the supporting documentation and just because other faculty at other universities have signed something is not that any real compelling reason as for me, speaking as a historian, that I'm going to sign something because you need to give us documentation. It can't be just simply that other colleagues elsewhere have signed a letter. I'm not prejudicing the case. I think the case probably is worthy of merit, but I want more information before I'm going to make that decision as a member of the faculty.
Okay, I just think there's two issues, and one issue is just the letter regarding the China initiative having nothing to do specifically with our colleague, and so that deadline has just come up upon us with this, and the faculty senate letter. The faculty senate letter doesn't have to be in by tomorrow. The faculty senate can send a letter whenever they want. The second issue is specific support of Dr. Zhao and encouraging the university to help him, and that is something that probably can be discussed later. So there are two different issues, and the only one I'm bringing up today is the letter that I drafted. And you can read the Stanford letter, which Dr. Lee has, and make your own decision on that.
Oh, well, if you want to speak, please raise up your hand. Okay, now let me clarify a couple of issues here. First of all, in July, we invited Professor Edward Vinyas, who was at one of the July meetings. He didn't speak. So, and then I got a call from Professor Vinyas that a few days ago. That means I think it's a Monday. Actually, it's Friday, last Friday. So our agenda was sent out. So in a way, it's okay, we missed the deadline. In other words, okay, we have a time issues and we cannot put something which was sent out. So I invited him to talk to be here. So that's the situation. And second, and I think everything takes time. And I agree with all of you that, okay, we cannot ask faculty member to sign something if they do not get full information. Given that we all receive, at least I and Scott received the information during the weekend. And today we didn't have a resolution. So I'm afraid we cannot put it on the agenda, at least a resolution on the agenda for next Tuesday. And I agree with Scott. Yes, I think Scott and Jennifer Sherry is going to work with faculty status and welfare committee. They will come out with a resolution for December's meeting. Would that be okay with you, both Scott and Jennifer?
It's fine with me.
Okay, so, and Ed, you are welcome to present the letter to the faculty senator, ask them to sign individually next week, whatever. But for this letter, for SIU faculty senator, we do need a resolution. In terms of time, we are a little bit late. Ed?
Are you asking me a question?
My question is that Scott and Jennifer, Sherry is going to work with you. So we hope we're going to have resolution for December's meeting.
Right. Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate Scott's comments, taking, having the faculty welfare committee work on this resolution going forward, and I'll help any way I can. Thanks for letting me talk to you today.
Sure. Well,
Thank you, Ed.
Jennifer Sherry, then Li Chang. Jennifer Sherry first.
Thank you. I just wanted to see, it kind of goes along with informing before we perform. Would it be helpful to send out the documents for people to review prior to even having it come up on the December agenda? That would give people a month to look over the documents. I mean, even though our committee can be working toward this goal, to work with Professor Binyas to get something together, it may be beneficial for people to at least be aware of the situation and its currency and see what we can do to help.
Okay, thank you, Li Chang.
Yeah, I just want to make sure Ed already left, if he understands what you suggested. In your suggestion, if I understood correctly, that means you want him to present the general letter to the faculty senate next week's meeting, ask for signature. The second thing is like you suggested to have Scott and Jennifer to discuss and then produce a resolution related specifically to Dr. Shaw's case. Is that correct?
Yes.
From my impression, I think Ed may not get that part. I don't know, maybe it's my wrong. I'm trying to say if he's going to show up during next faculty senate meeting next week, I'm not sure. That's my thing. Yes. Thank you.
Sure. Joe?
Thank you for saying that, Li Chang, because I'm still kind of really confused here. I'm actually confused of what the motivation and intention was of what just happened just now. The faculty senate can only act if we follow our rules and procedures. That's what we've always been, several of us in the past have always insisted. And so was he asking us to, in our good graces, recommend for individual faculty to sign a letter, in which case the faculty senate is then taking a position on an issue? I see no reason why he couldn't, in his own way, put this out as a public forum and not involve faculty senate in this. But because he involved faculty senate in this, we now have to follow our procedures, and we can't railroad this through without extra information. I have not received any information at all other than what he told us today. Apparently, if this issue's been lasting for months now, going on for months, why is this the first I'm hearing of this?
Joe, can I answer that? That's been asked. Can I answer that, please?
You can please answer, because I'm kind of upset right now about this.
Okay, no one's asking for any action today. Okay, first of all,
what was going on?
This was primarily for information. Okay, yes, we knew about this for some time. We took it to the faculty status and welfare committee in September, I think, and had a discussion about it. At the time, we didn't have any documentation either. And so we didn't take any action because we didn't know what we could do about it at that time. We just didn't know what our standing was or what was even being asked of us to do. So we had a discussion about it and it was inconclusive. We just didn't know where to go with it. So we had that general discussion. Last week, as Ed and Yuting said, Ed revisited the issue with us and provided more documentation to us for information and got specific about some of the things he wanted, the letter, perhaps a resolution, some action by the faculty senate. Right now, we're at the beginning stages of considering some kind of action. We're not trying to ram anything through. And even if we wanted to, we absolutely could with a simple majority vote of the faculty senate on the day of. So if we want to do that, we could, and that's not ramming anything through. I understand the desire for more information. I want more information. That's why I suggested taking it back to FSW, having us go through the documentation, come up with some specific resolution, the letter as well, perhaps, and make a recommendation to the EC next month to vote on, and then take to the full Senate and vote again on both of those items, if that's what we want to do. Does that clarify?
Yes, well, thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Jenny?
Probably want to wrap this up, but I just want to mention, Scott, just another way forward. And rather than weighing in on an individual case, I do think it's of critical importance to faculty across the country and research institutions that hire and seek to hire a diversity of expertise, and including international faculty. And I would love if the appropriate committee could, and you don't have to recreate the wheel. It sounds like some of these other universities are well ahead of us, but take some of the information they have already created in terms of what the risks are to faculty from the Department of Justice and the types and the nature of these investigations. Because I really don't think it's appropriate to weigh in on individual cases. I don't think we're going to have time by December to do so, but I do think this is going to be an ongoing problem and concern, and we should know exactly what the authority of the federal government is here. And I think that would do a great service in terms of creating transparency and awareness. So an information gathering effort by December, I think, would be a compromise and helpful.
Well, I can look into that. I mean, I like I say, I know, as Ed mentioned, Stanford has looked into this quite a bit, and I believe MIT as well has produced some documentation as well on their faculty who are targeted.
And specifically the laws that are being applied. It's like even just finding that and sharing that with us would be great.
Okay, I'll tell you right now, though, I'm not a lawyer. So doing legal research and trying to present the case.
I'm not suggesting you do the legal research. I'm suggesting somebody already has and has presented that to Stanford or MIT, and we just find that.
Oh, I'll look into it.
If it's there. Yeah.
Okay. It's almost 1 o'clock, 2 minutes to 1 o'clock. And I think Scott has all the information which Ed sent to us. So Scott and Jennifer Sherry is going to work with the committee, your committee. And in the meanwhile, the letter is drafted by Ed. That means, okay, the letter which he mentioned, that means for faculty senator, he quoted the letter from different university and dropped something for us. I can share it with you. If Scott and Jennifer share, you do not mind, I can share with the executive council. So, and we can, perhaps we can, we can invite him to present the information to the faculty senate next week without any action, just FYI. Would that be okay with you guys?
That's fine with me. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with informing the faculty senate of what's going on and what might be coming down in December. Right. So the more they're ready to hear about it and think about it, the better.
Yes, thank you. Okay, governance committee.
Yuting?
Yes.
Jennifer had mentioned she had some comments to make as part of our report as well. Jennifer, did you still want to say anything?
Yes, I actually had received the documents, and Scott and I both received them about Dr. Lee's concern that was brought up before about administration lines with faculty that maybe assume administration lines when they're on the faculty senate. And there were several documents that came to us. And I would like to just mention that that is still on our radar to investigate. And I highlighted a lot of things in those documents. So Dr. Lee, I do take that very seriously, and our committee does as well. So we'll be discussing that in the very near future on what ideas that come about throughout our committee. Thank you.
Jennifer, really quickly, I believe our operating papers require somebody to resign the faculty senate once they take if they're a dean or administrator position. Is that correct? Is that everybody else's understanding of the operating paper?
Well, I think our opening paper pretty much unclear about the administration, and I look at the different bylaws or opening paper at other universities.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time for us to have a discussion on this issue.
But we do have a precedent with this as well. If you will recall, last fall, the faculty senate required Walter Metz to resign the Judicial Review Board once he became acting dean last year of MICMA. So we do have a precedent for this, at least during my tenure on the faculty senate. I'm sure others who have longer tenures, longer service than I am, faculty senate will probably remember other examples of this.
Okay, thank you. Li Chang, you have a comment?
Yes, I just want to respond to Joe. Based on our current operating paper, the person who selected as or elected as faculty senator needs to have 51% of appointment as full professor. Well, I know we can change, we can modify, but that's what the current operating says. Yeah,
that's right.
Thank you. Matt?
Oh, I was going to respond to Joe saying that I am an example of somebody who was kind of had 1 foot in faculty and 1 foot in administration, because I was elevated to a short-term interim director status. And I just think that needs to be considered for people who are in short-term administrations, because I didn't want to resign the Senate. I mean, I was in the middle of my 3-year term and I intended to serve for the 3 years. And
okay,
I think agree with you, Matt, and I would just recommend perhaps Jennifer, Cherry, and Scott that you bring this up to bring this back to government. Or where's governance committee? They're not governance committee. What's governance committee?
Well, I'm sure this is another issue we can resolve it today. We still have a new business on agenda, and the governance committee has not report. And Jay and Li Chang.
Good afternoon. Our committee has not met. We don't have anything new to report to all of you. Li Chang?
I don't have anything to add. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So for our meeting in December, we're going to continue by Zoom. Would that be okay with you guys? All the business? All right. Now, new business. Okay, we invited our guest here. We have, in fact, endorsement of the USG resolution to adopt pass, no pass. And you received the document. We have Isaiah and Grace here.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? All right, great. So hello, everyone. My name's Isaiah Overton. I'm the current USG president. I also have 2 of my staff members with me.
Hi, I'm Haley. I'm the chief of staff.
And then Grace Gunn, if you're able to speak, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi guys, I'm Grace Gunn. I am the vice president of student affairs for USG. I also just recently joined as, I believe, like one of the representatives from USG with the undergraduate policy committee, I believe is what it's called, for the faculty senate. So hi.
All right, and then unable to join us, Shaylee Clinton, student trustee. She was on a call briefly, but she had to hop off. And then Diana McGreen, graduate professional student council president. She's not able to attend with us right now. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been working with my staff member, but also grad students and faculty to kind of address the mental health crisis that our campus is really in right now. What I've learned and what I've found out from my own personal story is that these past 2 years have been extremely hard. not just because of the pandemic, but also because of the mental health aspect. We don't really have enough counselors, or we don't have enough mental health resources available on campus for our students right now. So a lot of students are struggling, and it's not just our newer students, your upperclassmen are struggling too. I was a straight A student for my first 2 years here. Last fall, I got really sick after a car accident, and then ended up having to go to the hospital for mental health issues. And I was able to seek treatment, but I was still struggling. Semester after semester, every day was still hard. But luckily for me, I had support from my friends, from my teachers, to really kind of push me through each semester. But what I learned this year, talking to some of our underclassmen, is that they don't have the same support. I met a student 2 weeks ago at this male roundtable discussion. They had asked me what was my biggest struggle. I told them mental health, and I told them about the resources we had available. At the end of that conversation, the student stood up and told us that he was facing some of the same issues, but that he didn't have any help, that when he spoke to his advisor about it, I don't know what their advisor identified as, but that they recommended that he just withdraw from the university. That was really alarming to me. So that's then when I met with some of my friends, and I met with some of the faculty member that I know, just to kind of see how they felt about mental health on the campus. And they told me a lot more students are struggling than just students like him. The faculty are also struggling. Our grad students are struggling. We've lost a lot of people because of this pandemic. We've lost 2 students so far this year. And then we also had 2 more injured due to gun violence. So this resolution was kind of meant to address all of those issues in one. If you guys were able to read it, it was asking more for more than just the pass no pass. We wanted the pass no pass back. We wanted adequate advising, academic advising, so that students not only understand how the pass no pass affects them, but just so that they also kind of understand how they have control over their education and all their options as it relates to that. We've been working with the health center and the health center and the CAPS department to do a campus-wide mental health survey, to survey faculty, staff, and students to kind of see what we're all struggling with. We are also working with them to kind of host these roundtable discussions, kind of like a group therapy session, just so they can actually get boots on the ground, just to see what everyone's struggling with. And the goal for that is to have the quantitative along with the qualitative data, so that they can work together and use their resources so they can directly address some of the specific mental health struggles that we're facing. We also asked for in this resolution for the university to establish and influence a culture of compassionate instructing and learning. That's very important because you guys kind of serve as mentors for us, especially our younger students. When we get into these classrooms, we look up to you and we actually seek care from you at times. I know you guys don't always realize that, but that's how it is. So we really need to work on our instructing and ensuring that our teachers actually care for the students and that the students understand that. Also within this resolution is we want to do a study within university housing. That came because of University Hall right now is really struggling. They have the most meal and academic interventions, a part of their academic peer advocate programs. And they don't really know why that is. After talking with some of the APAs and RAs, but also talking with one of the housing directors, they are not too sure how they can best support the students there. So that's why we want to conduct a study within University Housing to talk about that. And then we had 2 more points within that resolution. One point was to review the academic calendar with the intent of including a fall break. I've been talking with a lot of people. They're not really too sure why we took out the fall break. And as we all know, burnout is very real. So the fact that we didn't have a spring break last year, and now we don't have a fall break, we're kind of seeing the ramifications of that. And then the final thing, the biggest thing would be asking for the chancellor to declare a state of emergency to address the mental health crisis on the campus. And a part of that would be taking a 2 to 3 day mental health break. So kind of like a snow day, except this time we're prioritizing the mental health of our students. That's kind of an overview of the resolution. You guys all should have the document for you to read in depth. I'm gonna let Grace add on a few more points, and then we can kind of just have a discussion about it.
Thank you. Any question, comments for our students?
Yeah, Grace, did you want to speak for a second?
I want to give the people on the call a chance to respond to what you said first, and then I'll add if it need be.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so no more question? Okay, Jenny?
I just want to say, I immediately read the letter that came out, and I immediately distributed it to our law school and to every faculty member and asked around about that. And I noticed it excluded the law students, and I teased my law students about it and brought them candy that day. I said, I just want you to know we really care about you. And it just strikes me that perhaps the university's just been a little too quiet. You know, I think honestly, a heartfelt recognition goes so far with people. It does definitely with me. And it's low-hanging fruit. It's easy for the administration to do this. It's easy for deans to do this. It's easy for faculty to do this. To just once in a while say, this isn't normal. And this is really hard. And I just want you to know I'm here. I mean, and I know that, you know, there's probably a whole lot of complicated answers to why you don't have a larger set of staff in the counseling department. But I do also hope that a lot of the other resources in town, Centerstone, Shawnee Health, some of our students have other forms of insurance as well. It's not just SIU's resources, but it could be a time where this campus really comes together with the community at large, because some people receive a lot of support from their faith-based, institution, or they have family nearby, and others are really isolated and don't have any of that. And I think that, just having a really good sense and sharing all of that information, particularly with new first-year students who aren't that familiar with the area, would go a long way. I just feel like there's so much that we could do on top of what the resolution or, paper had to say. And I just want to let you know that at least I definitely heard you.
Thank you. Now, any more comments before we have a resolution to put it on the agenda for next week?
I don't know if this information is helpful, just as context. This morning I had met with the provosts of the other state universities and asked them and mentioned about the pass no pass, because I'm aware that we have done it 3 semesters in a row. But at the other Illinois State Universities, they've only done it 1 semester, and that was spring 2020. And they have not done it in fall 2020. They haven't done it in spring 2021. We were different in that sense that we did it 3 times in a row. And so I just asked them, like on your campus this morning, actually, I asked them that, has some of these issues come up. So that was something that, is information. Second is in terms of the caps, I did clarify that if a student wants to see a counselor, they can see them on the same day. Even today, they can see them. It is only if a student says, I want to have the same therapist every time I come in on a continuing basis, that is waitlisted. But if a student just says, I'm not doing well, I need to see somebody today, either in face-to-face or telehealth, both those options are available. And if the student doesn't want to come in today and wants to come in tomorrow, they could do that too. And that's available in different locations, also in the residence halls. So that's something that sometimes may not always be known, but so that is some information also for us to keep in mind. And also, it's not that, and I agree about the fall semester that, in the terms of the academic calendar, looking ahead, whether the fall break could be brought back. That is something that could be considered for the coming semesters, and that the fall semester is different from the spring in the sense that we have 13 weeks of non-stop classes, and then you have the Thanksgiving break, and we gave up the fall break so that the whole Thanksgiving break can be 1 week. If you go back to fall break, then Thanksgiving is only partial, And what the data indicated is that when students have that fall break and then Thanksgiving break is only few days, many students take both those times the whole week off. So the instructors were saying that the students are gone, even if it's like 2-day break, they're gone the whole week. Even if it's Thanksgiving, it's only Thursday, Friday, they're gone. So that was some of the data that indicated or was used to bring back the whole semester and the whole Thanksgiving break as one whole week, and for that giving up the fall break. But just keeping in mind how our students might compare with other students graduating from the other universities when they go for employment or graduate school. If there's a lot of pass no pass grades, it may not benefit in the long run. Just something to keep in mind as we think about these issues. And the asking our faculty to be more compassionate and considerate during this sort of transition back to face-to-face classes, particularly at the end of the semester, comes along, I think would be something worth considering.
Thank you for the information, Provost Kumaracho. And Jennifer Sherry?
Hi there, Isaiah. I appreciate your document that you have put forward. I just have one concern about the pass, no pass grading cycle. Some of the programs that we have on campus, I am actually a professor in dental hygiene. Some of the science-based programs have to ensure that our students pass with a C or higher. And so if you do pass, no pass, that sometimes will negate that ability to do so. And so we have to be very careful about doing that. And also our students receive licensure. And so some of the, like Dr. Kamaraju mentioned, some of the programs must show grades for that to occur. So that is my only concern. I'm very aware of the issues on campus with mental health. I have had to do my share of referrals to Saluki Cares. One thing I'd like to say about that is that I received a call today back on a referral that said, once we go forward with following up with the student, that there is no contact after that. And I didn't really understand what that meant. So if we could have some clarification on, does the buck just stop there once the referral's made and they follow up or do a welfare check on the student? Exactly what happens after that? Because it's a concern that I have, maybe that it just stops there and there's no other further follow-up. So that just happened this week in our program. So I do appreciate all of the things that you said in your document. And I would just like to caution about the pass, no pass for the reasonings given. Thank you.
Isaiah, could you?
Yeah. Thank you for notifying me of both of those. Thank you, Provost, and also thank you, Sherry. That's something that we've been talking about too, as we ask for this pass or no pass. My hope is that once we build these mechanisms up to kind of stabilize the mental health of the entire campus, that we don't need to continue offering pass or no pass. We need it now because we did not do that this semester. I think we assumed that we were reopening, so that means everything is back to normal, and there is no normal. I think we need to take a step back, take a break, and reshift our focus. And that's why I recommend that we do the pass, no pass this semester.
Thank you. Provost. Yeah.
If I could say something, contributing to that, I believe in the resolution, we also have something in there mentioning to put emphasis on students talking to their advisors and with their professors to make the best decision for themselves and their program, because we do realize things do vary amongst programs and majors. So we would hope that it would be extreme emphasis on people talking and figuring out their track and what they would like to do in the future to see if it will affect them in the future in a severe way.
Yes, I think I saw that. Thank you. Provost Kumaracho?
Yeah, I just want to mention like one more piece of data to take into account, and that is the financial aid. So there are students, because of 2-3 semesters of pass no pass, who have a 0 GPA. Like if they didn't have good grades, they just took the no pass. So they may have completed the credits, but they don't have a GPA. And to receive financial aid, you should be in good standing. So that becomes a little bit tricky for you to get your financial aid if you don't have any grades to show for 2 years in a row. So that's also something of concern to just keep in mind that sometimes there are unintended consequences that we may not always be aware of.
Okay, thank you. Jenny?
Just very briefly, my sense of reading this is that it's not about the pass, no pass. My sense of reading this is to say we cannot ignore the fact that students feel like they're in trouble and we have to do something. And so this isn't about a thumbs up, thumbs down on a pass, no pass. This is about asking the faculty and the administration to say, can you help us? And so if we say no to a pass, no pass, we better come up with something else.
Thank you. Jay? Just one more comment. I have to comment.
Thanks so much. And it's just really to Isaiah and all the others who've worked on this, including Grace. Thank you so much for enlightening us and organizing all of these materials and bringing everything to our attention. I think it's an incredibly important journey that we're all on together. And it's one of the points you raised, is that this is a campus, a community condition. And my only suggestion and thought about this is that can we find a way and discover a way to not just use maybe a resolution, but is there a way that we could put something that has long-term effects here on the campus? And so maybe the resolution and the conversation in the Senate is a way to start that united conversation. And so I think it would be really important to maybe just not have this be a paper pass. I'd really like to see it have some real tangible outcomes and just a healthier, happier community here on campus. So I just wanted to thank you as well.
Okay. Now it's almost 2:22. I would like to close the discussion, and I need a motion on whether we should put it on the agenda for the faculty senate to discuss next week or not. I need a motion.
Do we not need a motion to approve this? Is that what you're asking for?
Well,
the new business is endorsement of USG resolution. So that's what we're being asked to do,
right,
to endorse this and forward it to. I'll make that motion.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anyone second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, second. So all in favor, raise your hand.
Just to be clear, we're voting just for them to discuss it? Supporting this resolution in full.
Well, go ahead, Scott.
My motion is to endorse it, which is what is on the agenda. Endorsement of the USG resolution, and that is what I am proposing.
Okay, Chair second. So now we're going to vote.
That's 8 yays. And
so any nay?
I see 0 nays.
Okay, so endorsement passed, and then we're going to send it to the faculty senate. All right, Scott? We're going to inform faculty senate, yeah. Okay, thank you. One more thing on the, thank you, very good job, Isaiah and Grace, appreciate your time. We are going to endorse it. And then faculty senate will support, hopefully to support it. Okay, thank you. Okay, next thing on our agenda, I know we're kind of behind the schedule, and Jenny suggests we need to follow up we visited the approved resolution on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which was approved in September 2020. Now, do we need to have this discussion next week? Or maybe we do not need to put it on the agenda for next week. I just have a question for you guys. Jenny, maybe you can speak up.
Sure. I've raised this more than once this year, that we passed this resolution last year. It requires every committee to directly address how we promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And every meeting, we have committees that say nothing about it. And so I raised it, Yuting, hoping that you would ask each committee to be raising this. But you actually instead said, Jenny, why don't you bring it up again? I'm bringing it up again, but it's one of those things, you know, all these diversity initiatives that happened at the end of last year and this year, it started to be talked about as diversity theater. Like, oh, you can say you care about it, but then you don't really do anything following. And I don't want us to be one of those. I really don't. And so, you know, like I take full responsibility too on the budget committee. Am I going to bring up the fact that we need to look at transparency with respect to areas of diversity in salaries and the rest? Absolutely. But should all of the rest of our community committees? Yes. In fact, our resolution says we have to. So I just don't understand how quiet everybody is on this. And I would love to see, Dr. Lee, that you require us to do this.
Very good comments. I think it's a good idea, and maybe we do not need to put it on the agenda for next week. I will try to remind each committee to report it as much as you can. Thank you. We're behind the schedule. Any comments, questions on this before we move to the report? We have two guests here. Chancellor, I know Chancellor Nan was here, and then he had another meeting. He couldn't be here, and then we have Provost Kumaraja here. So, and we still have about 25 minutes to half an hour. So any question, answers?
So you think, did you want me to make the remarks or you're going to ask questions and then I respond?
I think we have question answers. Maybe any of the executive council member ask you the question, then you will make remarks.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mayor, I saw the search go out for the College of Arts and Media Dean. And I wondered at this point, who is on the search committee for that? Has that been formed?
So the search committee is, I think they're waiting on the last few responses saying, yes, I'm going to be on the committee.
So have people already been asked to be on those committees?
Yeah. And that's, you know, from the Associate Provost for Academic Administration, Mark Morris's office.
Thank you. Joe?
Two questions. One related to Jay's. Has a search also been for the new dean search in College of Liberal Arts?
Yes.
That committee is also in the process of being formed?
Yes.
Okay. And then I will ask my usual question. I know we're short on time, but our usual question about where we stand in terms of recruiting and retention going forward into next semester, next year. I mean, I know these things are rolling every week, every month. Of course.
Yeah, I do have the data for as of this Monday. So every Monday, I just update my sort of count, and I can share that. But I also want to mention a couple of other things related to recruitment and retention. One is on October 11th, we had the open house, the SIU open house for everyone. And we had about 155 who attended. In addition, we also had 106 students who came down in different buses to visit at SIU from Chicago. And we are expecting another group to be coming in this November 12th and 13th from Chicago. And then on the 16th from East St. Louis, Madison, and Cahokia, so that area. So this is in addition to the open house. We also have an open house coming up this Saturday on November 6th. And we also had an SIU day which is something that we had been doing since fall 2018, where we had about 428 students who came from 11 area high schools to visit campus. So that's kind of ongoing effort just to bring students to our campus and get them involved in our activities. So in terms of our numbers, we are 42 weeks out from fall 2022. And in terms of first-time, full-time freshmen, we have about 5,129 applications, which is like 37.7% up compared to last year. And then in terms of actionable applications, we have 3,526, which is about 103% higher than last year. And we have admitted 2,842 students, which is about 97% higher than last year at this time. So now the sort of focus is on yielding these students to come to campus. In terms of our on-campus numbers, we are facing challenges in terms of admitted students. Our applications are up 12%. We have 645 applications. Our actionable applications are up 8%. So we have 242 of those. And our number of admitted students is down 21%, which is 154. In off-campus transfer numbers, we're seeing a positive trajectory. We have 85 applications, which is up 49%. We have admitted 29 students, which is up 26%. In terms of graduate students, our numbers are up in terms of applications. We have 180 applications, and that's 14.6% up. We have admitted 23 students, which is 9.5% up compared to last year at this time. So in addition, we are doing something new this fall semester, and that is we are dedicating one day. It's a professional development workshop where we are going to have various stakeholders who are very much involved in the recruitment and retention of our students to spend a day that is Wednesday of next week on November 10th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to have a panel of students during the lunch time, where these are freshman students from different colleges who will be sharing their experiences of what drew them to SIU, how the transition has been, and what is helping or not helping in keeping them here. So that is a student panel piece of it. But in addition, we have I'll just give examples of the various stakeholders. We have deans, school directors, some faculty, representatives from student affairs, IT, university communication, the DEI office, as well as admissions, and did I mention faculty members as well, and then the honors program, chancellor scholars, university core curriculum, extended campus, CIE, pretty much representation from all the different the recruitment retention coordinators and enrollment management. So we're going to spend a day kind of like organized by colleges to think about what our targets are going to be for fall 2022. I just rattled off all those numbers, but really what it would be our target for enrollment. We look at last year's data and then look at what we can realistically hope to achieve. And then also look at retention. So retention from fall 21 to fall 22. And essentially, we're going to be looking at best practices, like what are some things that worked last year that we want to make sure we don't lose? And then what was it that was like a bottleneck or that got stuck, and then we can improve it for the coming year. Also, we want to look at our 4-year and 6-year graduation rate. We've kind of focused a lot on recruitment, but we also want to focus on retention. So 4-year and 6-year graduation rate for the cohort we just brought in. For example, our fall 2021 students, what can we aim for in terms of our 4-year and 6-year graduation rate? Also for students who would be graduating this spring as the 4th year or be graduating this spring as a 6th year. Look at those cohorts and see what percentage of them we can still help to graduate so that you can move your needle on those numbers, because these numbers affect our ranking, whether it's the US News and World Reports or on the FAFSA website. When parents go to see which college should I send my child to, they look at the various profiles of each college. Our 6-year graduation rate is mentioned over there. So we're just looking at those data. That's what we're going to be focusing on this fall, and we hope to make this an annual event So we constantly are assessing how we are doing, what we are doing, what's working, what's not working, and then to identify some new strategies and bringing everyone together. We hope there'll be a lot of synergy and opportunity to discuss and figure out how we can do these things. So those were some of the things that I sort of wanted to mention. There was one more thing that's kind of related to also our recruitment retention efforts, and that's our spring registration. As you know, registration opened last week, and we are doing our best to get 90% of our students registered before they leave after finals week. Because this time the new semester will start on January 9th, which doesn't give us a lot of time after the winter break. So there'll be just a little bit of time where we can, get everyone to register. So we're trying to get that done before they leave. So we're providing small incentives. So every week, every Monday, there's a drawing. So yesterday there was a drawing for identifying one person from last week's registrants who would get a $500 University Bookstore book scholarship. And every Monday there'll be a drawing of the people who registered that week. There's a friendly inter-college competition to see which college can get its students registered as close as possible to 90% or more. So those are some things that we are doing to sort of encourage the spring registration before students leave. So I'll pause there.
Can I just ask a brief follow-up, which is I know the Faculty Senate last month passed a resolution to change the credit, to recommend a changing of the credits needed of a transfer student before they could apply to come to SIU. Could you update us on what the administration has decided regarding that? And when, if I assume the answer is you agree to it, and then
Yes.
Secondly, when is it being implemented?
So it is, it has to go up the chain, get signed, and then come back down. And we would want to implement it for our spring semester.
Okay, so it will be ready because the big recruiting and retention recruiting season is not even begun yet for our transfer students. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Thank you, Provost.
Yeah.
Any other question for the Provost? Okay, so Provost Cumaracho, you may now make some comments. I know Chancellor Nan is at another meeting, and originally he was here at 1 o'clock. So we were behind the schedule. We missed the opportunities, and you may cover the Chancellor's office as much as you can.
I mean, I think that I pretty much covered most of the things that, are like sort of cooking right now. The other big thing is trying to get the compliance on our sort of ethics training and the sexual harassment and discrimination training. The date was as of yesterday, and we have, to really follow up with still some more employees who are not compliant. That's one piece of it. And then something else that keeps us sort of occupied is for the students, for the staff and faculty and staff, those who are not vaccinated have to do the weekly testing. So we get the update of those who have missed the testing, and then we have to follow up with them. So that takes up a lot of sort of time and effort in getting that compliance done. However, for the faculty, one request that I had is that faculty can help communicate to students about getting registered for spring semester. So when you're in class, you can just do a friendly sort of housekeeping reminder saying, dear students, registration is open. Please go ahead and register for your classes. And this applies to both the undergraduate and graduate students. So that would be very helpful, just a friendly reminder. When I used to be in the classroom, that was something that I'd always remind them saying, hey, if you like this psychology class and want to take some more, I'm here. I can answer questions if you're not sure which class to take. And I have the list of classes, just those things that will prompt them to think about getting registered. So I would appreciate any help in that area.
Thank you. So any other update question for the Provost? Okay, Ni-Chang.
Oh, I have a question about like a booster shot. I know like we can do it. We can go to outside and do the other, to do it ourselves. I was wondering whether we can organize kind of events like flu shop. We can just walk there and then get it done. That would be very convenient rather than we just like drive off campus and do it.
I mean, I can take it back to the EOC committee and see if that's something that they can negotiate, with the Jackson County Health Department or SIH, and bring it to the faculty on campus. I'll certainly take that message back.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, question for the provost? Okay. If not, it's now it's 2:41, and for the next week, we're going to meet at the faculty center, and we're going to send any announcement, any questions before we have a motion to join the meeting. Okay, so I need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
So all in favor, say hi or raise hands. Thank you very much. I will see you next Tuesday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.